If you are interested in applying for a family child care home license in the state of Colorado, you and the other members of your household will be required to pass several background checks. Children who are in family child care homes deserve to be safe at all times, so background checks are used to make sure that potential providers don't have a history of child abuse, child neglect, or any other activity that could put a child at risk. While we can all agree on the importance of background checks, the process can sometimes be a bit confusing. This video will provide an overview so that you'll feel confident in understanding the different types of background checks, identifying who needs a background check, and getting an overview of how to get the process started. First, there are two basic types of background checks. The first category of background checks are searches based on personal information, such as name, birth date, and social security number. When you sign your family child care home application, you give the Colorado Department of Human Services permission to run these types of background checks through databases which include the National Sex Offender Registry, the Colorado Sex Offender Registry, and a Colorado Child Abuse and Neglect Check, also known as the Trails Registry. These background checks will be set into motion as your application is being processed. While background checks based on personal information will check for sex offenses and abuse or neglect history, the second category of background checks are based on fingerprints, and these will be used to check for criminal histories. It is important to know that you cannot begin the fingerprinting process until you receive a fingerprinting instructions email from the Office of Early Childhood, because this letter will contain the account numbers you'll need to begin the fingerprinting process. This includes your new Family Child Care Home License number and a unique ID number that will be used to connect your fingerprints to your license. This email will also include links to the background check page on the Office of Early Childhood website, where you can find the instructions you'll need to schedule your fingerprinting appointment. When you have your fingerprints taken at one of the vendors responsible for fingerprinting services, they will transmit your fingerprints electronically, and these will be used to run two more background checks, an FBI criminal history check and a CBI criminal history check. There's one more important thing you should know about background checks. If you've lived outside of the state of Colorado in the past 5 years, you'll need more background checks done. These will gather information from every state you've lived in by checking each state's criminal history registry, sex offender registry, and child abuse and neglect registry. These extra background checks will take more time, so start the process as soon as you can, so that you can submit the results to licensing. You do not have to wait for a license number to start the out-of-state background check process. Now, every state handles background checks in their own way, so if this applies to you, please find more information on the Office of Early Childhood website under the Background Check tab. Now that you know a little more about the different types of background checks, the next question we will address is who needs a background check. The safety of children in care is the highest priority, so everyone who lives in the family child care home, regardless of age, will have a child abuse and neglect background check, also called the Trails Registry. This includes all children, even those who are younger than 18 years of age. Fingerprint-based background checks are required by Colorado rules for every person applying for a family child care license. Every adult 18 or older who lives at a licensed family child care home, and every person 16 years or older who will take care of or supervise children. Your licensing specialist will help you if you have questions in the future, but for now just note that if new adults move into your home or start working with you, they must complete a background check first. This includes substitutes, volunteers, adult children, and more. So now you know about the different types of background checks and who needs to have one, and you know a little about how to get the process started. Background checks based on personal information will be set into motion as your application is being processed. Background checks based on fingerprints will be set into motion after you receive your email, and after you schedule your fingerprinting appointment. And if you've lived outside of Colorado in the past 5 years, you should begin the process of obtaining the out-of-state checks immediately. On the Office of Early Childhood website, there's a list of disqualifying crimes. If you have concerns that something in your background or that of another adult in your home might create a barrier to being issued a child care license, talk to your licensing specialist for more information. In conclusion, background checks are an essential part of ensuring that Colorado's children can receive safe care. Hopefully this video provided clarification for some of the most common questions that potential providers have. By following these instructions, you can help make sure that there will be fewer delays in the processing of your paperwork and that you are one step closer to being a licensed family child care home provider.